Greetings and welcome back to Switch to Linux. Somebody else left some blasphemy on my channel comments. They said, why do you show that kitty for so long? We might get bored and leave. What? Showing the kitty for long is boring? That's not cool. Well, today we're going to be talking about Ubuntu, the end of an era. What's this all about? That sounds interesting. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and see who is here. Greetings, everybody. There is a lot of folks here already. Starting with 45. Haven't done that for a while. Did they switch desktops again? No, they did not. Next update isn't for another 2 months. That is correct. April 18th, I think. As far as I'm aware, it's still GNOME. Yes, it is. Sean's Ubuntu era ended when they deployed default apps like Calculator as snaps. Yeah, you won't be happy with their future direction. No, they're not ditching the Ubuntu, the Unity look to it. It's still going to be look much the same. But yeah, expect to see more. Expect to see things snapped together a little bit more. I will not be able to read all of the intro comments. There are a lot. Let's see. GNOME is boring. I kind of agree, but that's not really what my issue is. But we'll see that. Ubuntu makes you have dash to dock, and that's a pain. Yeah. Farrah used Ubuntu a lot at the beginning. After Slackware, it was the first OS I installed and used as a desktop. And I think that that's the thing is that I think most people fall into that situation and that scenario. That is definitely a situation to keep in mind there. So, and we'll be talking about this. I want to get into the actual discussion, and I'm going to record it. So you guys that did not get a chance, or if you want to pass it on to somebody else, then I will have a shorter, more concise version up. Yes, the kitty is on. Hello, James Miller. Hello, Peabody. Hello, Mark. Peabody, that was a terrifying article you sent me earlier this week. I'm just so excited to move to Arizona. CJ wants treats. Yes, he does. Hey, how's it going there, Q1 Fiend? Sunburn, showing the kitty too long? Stone him. On other websites, they got to show the kitty to keep viewer attention. That's right. You know, I got to, you know. Tom, why's that face red? Lighting is a little goofy. Should I work on my lighting a little bit? I can probably do that. See, I can do that, and let's, I think is it my saturation's up a little bit too? There we go. I can go black and white. Ha. All right, there I can do this. Whoa! All right, that's bad. A little too much there. There you go. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. All right, we'll go ahead and keep that going. All right, SwitchedtoLinux. Can I have a wrench? Which wrench? Oh, that wrench. Just leave. I think you can post stuff without having a wrench these days. Hello, Quint. Greetings there. How's it going there? All right, before we jump into the comments, I am hosting a giveaway of my new book. This is a Christian book, but just in case you guys are interested in a print book, it is on the Amazon giveaway program. So the requirements is you have to have an Amazon account in the United States. If you do have an Amazon account in the United States, I'm giving away 2 copies of the book. I'm paying for the item, the shipping, the taxes, all that kind of stuff. You just have to follow that link, sign into your Amazon account, and follow through the steps to sign up. And those will be fulfilled directly by Amazon. So if you are interested in that book, go ahead and follow that link. It is unfortunately an Amazon link for you guys that don't like Amazon. My apologies. But hey, Amazon is decent to authors when they actually give us our, sales numbers. All right, let's see. Let's go ahead and I'm going to leave my comments right here. So we will hopefully get into all these. We have a lot of folks watching, so we're going to jump on into the show. So I'm going to record this, and so we'll go ahead and re-roll the intro. Then we'll get into the discussion. Then I will hit the comments again, and then we're going to actually look at the distro itself. Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Well, is Ubuntu at the end of its era? It's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. And this isn't like, kill Ubuntu. No, far from it. I like Ubuntu. I've generally always liked Ubuntu, but I see some of the directions that they've made in the past few years actually, I think have hurt it more than have helped it. And that's kind of sad because most people, and yeah, there's going to be a few exceptions out there. You can tell me all about not me's in the comments if you would like. Tell us what distro you started off with. But most people who are trying out Linux or have switched to Linux at some degree have started on some version of Ubuntu. Usually the regular Ubuntu, mostly because early on it was very easy to find. I first learned about Linux through Ubuntu when I had a crappy compact computer. No, it wasn't compact. It was a crappy Acer computer, I think it was. And they built the frame wrong on this, and literally they screwed the hard drive directly into the hard shell chassis of the computer. And that meant if you just slid the computer across the desk, it sent all those shocks directly into the hard drive. The thing burnt 2 hard drives in 3 months. I said, I'm done with putting hard drives in here. Like, can I install Windows on an external hard drive? No, but I found out about this thing called Ubuntu that could. I'm like, let's try it. So I downloaded Ubuntu. I think that was version 11.04. And I installed it, and this is pretty cool. Now, I didn't switch to Linux entirely then, but I thought this was a pretty cool system. And I kept that around for a while, and that was kind of my introduction into it, because the available information was out there, and I was able to find it when I was trying to solve a problem that I couldn't solve on Windows. Now, yes, all you guys that are going to tell me about it, Windows 10 now can run off an external hard drive. Windows back before 10 could not. So that's just one of those things to keep in mind. So in context of my story, this was a while back. Ubuntu 11.04. That means it was about 2011. Okay. And so with that, I got into it. And then when Windows started going crazy with forcing OneDrive, forcing cloud services, forcing Windows 10 in their data collection, I remembered that Ubuntu drive that had, like, where is that thing? And I went and I plugged it in, and it worked beautifully. And I said, this is a great system. And it was certainly better than Windows 10. And so I made the switch over to Linux. Now, for those curious, not familiar with this channel, I actually use Linux Mint Cinnamon as my daily driver for my production systems because it has the exact workflow. That's the only thing I didn't like about Ubuntu, is that it didn't have a layout like Windows, and it was very inefficient for my workflow. And I started looking around at other Linux distros after learning them, a little bit more under the hood about Ubuntu and how it would work. And I found Linux Mint, and that ended up being the perfect distribution for me. And that's why I just love my Linux Mint. But the thing is that we have started to see Ubuntu decline over time. In fact, the very first video I did that put this channel on the map was about Ubuntu. And I raised this question, what version was that? I think that was that 17? I think it was 1704 maybe. Whatever was supposed to be shipping with Unity 8. And I forget which one it was. And I did a video, and I remember it was like on New Year's Eve. And I did the video about Ubuntu with it questioning, is this really the future of Ubuntu? And that is the video that put this channel up on the map. That's the one video that launched this channel. Prior to that, I'd been doing videos for a few months with, 15, 20, 30 views maybe. But after I had that video on Ubuntu, questioning, is Unity 8 really a good direction for Ubuntu? And I got about as many likes as many dislikes in a very controversial video, and I ended up being right. A total noob to the Linux sphere, and I was right. They dropped Unity 8, they dropped Unity altogether, and they decided to go back to GNOME. And that's kind of what they did. But you need to understand that at that time, I had erased my 11.04, and then I had installed 16.04 pre-alpha. And I ran 16.04 in, I think it was November or December. I was running it since then, and it worked flawlessly. It worked beautifully in a virtual machine. It worked beautifully on hardware. It was an amazing polished system, and I was such a noob, I didn't even know it wasn't released yet. Huh? Literally. Huh? And so when I found that out, I was like, really? This runs this well before it's even released. That was a revelation to me. But then, of course, we had this push on Unity 8, which was an abysmal failure. If you remember anything about Unity 8, it was an abysmal failure. It was this horrible garbage. And then we had dropping to that and going back to GNOME. And then that really made Ubuntu less shiny. It didn't have its own identity anymore. You know, you watched videos where you knew they were on Linux. You could spot that Unity in a heartbeat. And sure, you can still spot GNOME fairly well. You can generally still tell it's Ubuntu, but it doesn't show quite as much. And yeah, if you used Ubuntu before Unity when it was GNOME 2, yeah, you wouldn't recognize it as much. But it's these little tinges of excitement, these little marketing blips. But the thing is that they started moving in these interesting directions where they dropped Unity. They went back to GNOME. And then they started focusing so much on snaps. And then for me, and I think for a lot of people, it just kind of, Ubuntu Mate became probably the more run Ubuntu than Ubuntu, which is interesting. And so this brings me up to this. So I jumped onto DistroWatch today to see, what do I want to talk about? Is there a cool distro? I'm like, no. You know what? It's like halfway through February. I haven't heard anything about Ubuntu 19 yet. Usually, man, I'm starting to hear about Ubuntu leading up to the months. And in marketing, you would call that creating buzz. You release your alphas, you release your videos. A bunch of guys like me and DT and a bunch of other guys start booting up virtual machines, my apologies, booting up virtual machines and installing stuff and playing around with it. And you're seeing videos and your news feed starts to fill up with Ubuntu stuff. And then this is all leading into the release day and it comes out and it's highly anticipated and it goes. And I said, this is halfway through February. I haven't heard anything about Ubuntu yet. So I decided to investigate this. Here's the release schedule for this release of Ubuntu. So October 25th, the toolchain is uploaded. All right. Feature definition freeze in November. They start doing a little bit of tweaking throughout December, and then they have an optional Ubuntu testing week. Another optional Ubuntu testing week. You know what's not here? There's no alpha release. They did not release an alpha of Ubuntu, which means that they are going to be releasing an Ubuntu build which has less testing, less awareness, less everything than they've ever had before. I haven't seen anybody spin this up yet, which means they're not collecting data from who's installing it. They're not collecting data from the videos like this. They're not getting in and doing a lot of the things they've done in the past, which have led them to getting a lot of feedback, a lot of discussion early on, which basically means it's kind of becoming like Windows. It's all becoming inbred among their own developers in a very small knit community that follows a development chain that's not the rest of us. And that is an interesting thing because what's going to happen is, now I'm recording this today on February 20th. Well, tomorrow from when I'm recording this, February 21st is the feature freeze. This is when no more features are going to be added. They're going to do a Debian import freeze, and then they have a week of testing. They have a UI testing, documentation string freeze, and then the beta release. The first time a beta hits the market is March 28th. Only 3 weeks before the mandatory release of 1904. Very little buzz, very little discussion, very little testing, very little comments, very little feedback. And this is the distro that a lot of other distros are based on. Now, to be fair, this is not an LTS. So 1904 is probably not going to be the thing that a lot of distros are going to be based on, but it still raises some question. Why drop the alpha from your release? Why not release multiple betas? This is a fascinating question to me. So is there anything special? Well, the release date's scheduled for April 18th, and it seems to be hard, fast, and mandatory despite only having 3 weeks on a beta, no alpha, and no other real discussion. No real buzz being created by the core group of people who are the Linux evangelists. Fascinating. So the feature freeze occurs February, UI freeze March, kernel freeze April 1st. No alpha release. Okay. Beta release March 28th, only 3 weeks before the final release. And then they're going to hit the release date after only 3 weeks of beta testing with very little input. What do we expect? Nothing. GNOME 3.32, kernel 5. GS Connect, they originally talked about having GS Connect, which is a way to wirelessly connect an Android-based device to Ubuntu. That's getting dropped. A lot of other things are getting dropped. There's nothing exciting anymore. There's no marketing buzz. There's very little testing. There's very little anything. But just about 2 hours ago, Quint sends me this interesting little piece of news. 1904 is going to replace apt with Snap as the default package manager. I'll get into why this is an issue later. Let me zoom this up so you guys can probably read it better. There we are. All right. Although apt has multiple fantastic front ends, it is like most package management systems dating to the early 2000s, can be a pain to configure at times. Before there were systems, so before it was Snap and other tools, especially app images, which are by far the cleanest solution available, that allowed apps to be self-contained, we had to deal with problems that are PPAs, and massive dependency problems in the event that a vendor decided to bypass the repositories altogether and distribute a standalone package. Thanks to Snap, the need for apt is disappearing fast. Apps ranging from browsers, Firefox and Chromium, all the way to complex developer tools, Android Studio, are available as these self-contained Snap packages. So why don't we use Snap at the system level? Imagine, for example, being able to run sudo snap install Cosmic to upgrade the current release, sudo snap install beta disco in March to upgrade the beta release, or for that matter, sudo snap install edge disco to upgrade to the pre-beta release. It would make the whole process much easier, and updates could simply be delivered to the corresponding snap, which could then be pushed to the repositories, and there it is. This way, instead of having a separate release updater, it would be possible to A, run all system updates completely and silently in the background to avoid nagging the user, and B, offer release upgrades in GNOME Software Store Mac style as banners so the user can install them easily. It would make the user experience both a consistent and even more user-friendly than it currently is, giving developers an easy path to migrate apps over to snaps and encouraging the community to build snaps for OSs that isn't yet available to them, e.g. Qt Creator would definitely be a must, however, before this is implemented. So I want to focus on these 2 points he's talking about. Number one, run all system updates completely and silently in the background to avoid nagging the user. Have you gone mad? Like, how many times does an update break a system? It's still fairly rare, but the last thing I want to occur is for a whole batch of updates to be running in the background. There is a very good logical argument for not pushing all these upgrades silently without nagging the user. There is a reason a lot of businesses still use Windows 7 and Windows XP despite end of life either being passed in the case of XP or rapidly approaching in the case of 7. Because there's reasons not to change. This is exactly why I am still running Linux Mint 18.3. Everything works. I'm not going to risk breaking the system and giving myself a day of downtime to repair a system because an update wanted to go in the background without talking to me about it first. That is insane. And it kind of makes me scratch my head and go, man, Canonical is starting to become like Microsoft. That is a scary thing. Now B, offer release upgrades in the GNOME Software Store Mac style as banners so the user can install them easily. You know, I have a solution to this. Why don't you fix your GNOME store? Because you didn't have a problem with this before you switched to GNOME. If I go into the GNOME store of every Ubuntu I've installed, guess what's not there? A simple application like Thunderbird, which is there in the repository. I can sudo apt install Thunderbird, but I can't seem to find it in the GNOME store. And this seems to be a problem with the GNOME store on Ubuntu. It seems to be lacking a lot of software that is otherwise available to the system. I don't see a problem with that as an end user. I'm not a developer, so I can't speak to that. But as an end user, I don't see that as a major issue. I don't see that as a major problem. Now, why am I against snaps? It actually comes back to, this is an article from almost a year ago, May 15th, 2018, when some malware was discovered in a Snap package. And so Snap comes out, this is the official Snap blog, when Snap comes out and kind of talks about this, and they had some very concerning things. Okay, down here in software views, of course, these guys are the evangelists for Snap, of course. They want everyone to be using their system. All right, so this is what I found the most concerning part. Even then, the inherent complexity of software means it's impossible for a large-scale repository to only accept software after every individual file has been reviewed in detail. That's true whether source code is available or not, as no institution can afford to review hundreds of thousands of incoming source code lines every single day. Because of that, the most successful trust model is based on the origin of the software, not its content. In other words, trust the publisher rather than the application itself. Which basically means we are going to reduce our overhead by not auditing the software in the repository, and instead we're going to pass-fail the distributor of the application instead. Where has this gotten us in the recent debates with the Apple stores? Remember this issue where they could, Facebook was releasing this application in a backhanded way to users by releasing through the development chain channel that caused a major spyware issue? And then after Apple's like, don't do that, then they find out that tons of other pirates are doing the same exact thing. Now, yes, those are pirates, but Facebook is one of these companies they're talking about, let's trust the publisher rather than the application itself. Who are the publishers? Well, Mozilla, Amazon, Spotify, Google, Microsoft. I don't trust these publishers. Yeah, Microsoft and Google and Spotify and Amazon are not going to be putting malware in my system, but they will be putting tracking software. They will be spying on everything I do. And now Snap and Canonical can look the other way. We trust the developer. We're not going to audit their code anymore. And that is completely counter to the entire philosophy of Linux as a whole. And that is why I think Ubuntu is at the end of an era. They have forgotten their user base. They have ditched the thing that made them unique. What we'll look at here is, by the way, this pre-build won't even run well on a VirtualBox. I can get it booted by booting it off of the recovery mode, but I can't actually boot the thing up to test it out. I can't even go full screen with it. The thing works worse than the first ever Linux build I've ever experimented with. That's how bad it's become. So I think Ubuntu is at the end of the era, and I think it's probably about time other distros think about looking to other places instead of basing themselves on Ubuntu, because Ubuntu is starting to integrate Snap at a core level. And with that, I think that we're going to be losing a lot of the trust behind it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Is this the end of Ubuntu's era? Let me know. Yes or no, and why do you think so? So thanks for coming along. All right, so that one's clear. So hang out, guys. We're going to be booting into the distro itself. We will have a look at that next. I'm going to jump over and scan through the comments, and then we will jump on over here and do another portion of the video where we actually boot into the distro and have a look at what it looks like. And as you may have guessed, it doesn't look a lot different. And I do apologize. Today is a lot busier of a stream than I usually have. I will not be able to read everybody's comments, and I'm very sorry for that. But nevertheless, we will do as best as we can scanning through stuff and finding anything. Just saying you might want to check out Ubuntu 1904 as far as the future. Working on Plasma's OS patches using 5.15 provided by 1904 is really promising. Okay. Ubuntu and Ubuntu derivatives, Arch derivatives, Solace. Okay, all right. Ubuntu simply dropped Unity because they didn't add anything compared to other desktops for most users, I guess. No, they dropped it. They actually had a reason why. The reason they dropped it is to streamline the company and make the company more profitable for a potential IPO by focusing on server and cloud technologies. That's what the public documents have to say. Okay. Gotta go. Later, yo. Hate Snap, it's so slow and just crappy. Yeah, hey, crappy. Rhymes with snappy. All right. I also remember Unity 8. Yep. Future is the cloud. Snap or alpha? So much about 1804.2 either. Well, yeah, but the point releases don't get nearly as much hype as the new releases do. I didn't anticipate hearing a lot about 1804.2, but nope, Canonical acts like Microsoft. Someone else was thinking the same thing. Switch to MX, there you go. Hello, Tom Silk, greetings there. Todd Bentley, hello there. Gonna be like wind blows. Release it to the public and then figure out the bugs later. Yep. Peppermint is good. I agree. Peppermint is awesome. 173 watching. Yes. Hey, we hit a record high. Today is a record high stream. We peaked at 212 with 207 currently. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. All right. Yeah, Toss thinks Ubuntu should be the national Linux desktop. Yeah, I disagree, but, you know, that's okay. Okay. Need PPAs for everything. I use PPAs for a number of things because there's some software packages I need newer versions on Linux Mint, but for the most part, I love the stability, and the stability of Mint is awesome. I can add the PPAs for the things that I need. Yeah. Ubuntu learned from EOS how to lock down the user base. Yep. Oh, snap. Think we have Linux Mint Debian edition. Yep. Placing app with crap. I mean, snap. What are they thinking? Yep. Sudo snap install. Greetings, Joe. Well, right when we thought there was hope for Linux in the marketplace, Ubuntu jumps off the deep end. Woo! Yet again! I think they're diving off the diving boards. Oh, man. Linux Mint, Ubuntu 10 times over. Yeah, I agree. Linux Mint's way better, in my opinion. I remember those days. It's like, man, if only I could set this thing up kind of like Windows. And then I found Mint. I was like, man, this is exactly right. And I installed it on my computer a few years ago. Never looked back. Distribution developers have the power on Ubuntu to replace Snap with app either way. Yep. And the problem is, though, is that Snap will become the lazy man's choice. Apt will become worse off, and I believe Snap is created by Canonical, I think. If somebody else know wrong, I don't know. Ubuntu is Linux Windows version. Install a fresh, so I went with 19 beta from the get-go. Yep, 19. I've been doing several of my training videos on different platforms on Linux Mint 19.1. It's pretty nice. Did Microsoft purchase Canonical secretly? Probably. Could be end of an era if Microsoft were to buy out Ubuntu brand. Yep. Malwares love Snap and Flatpak. Yep. All you got to do is get 3 or 4 good solid applications in there first, and then, woohoo! Start pushing out your malware. Conglomerates just got on Linux, man. Please, no touch. I do not consent. Tracking software is not malware. I think it is, but other people think it's not. I mean, come on. Microsoft and Google thinks that tracking software improves user experience by collecting all users' data. I don't know how that improves user experience. Makes my experience bad because it slows down the system. So that's why when you boot up a Windows 10 computer, and it's just like disk pushes to 100% and sits there and spins 100%. It's just grabbing a bunch of stuff to upload on the internet. That's why your Windows 10 computer lags out when the first 10 minutes when you boot it on. Snap was originally created by Canonical for the Ubuntu phone. That sounds about right. Know what? This guy from SwitchedtoLinux hates Ubuntu. He's Triskel lover, RMS lover. What? They don't aim for being the number one desktop, so I guess Snaps is the way to go for them. Yep. Recently installed Ubuntu server, no GUI, and an ancient laptop works great. Yep. All right, guys, let's go ahead and I need to boot up the Ubuntu machine, and it's going to be a pain because the system will not actually boot right. So I'm going to have to boot it through the... So I have to boot it up in the virtual machine. I have to boot it up, wait for it to lag out on me, force it to shut down, and then restart it, holding down my shift and getting to my recovery menu. And no, I can't just start the machine with shift being held down. It won't actually work. So right now I'm doing that. So now I have to come over here. You won't be able to see any of this. My apologies. I have to force the machine down, now restart it. Now hold down shift again, and hopefully I can get to my system. Yay, I got to my advanced options this time. Now I have to boot the system into recovery mode, and then boot it to the main system from recovery mode, and that's how I have to get this thing started. If I had to go through that much crap just to test it out, I'd say never mind, I ain't doing with this crap. And of course it won't go full screen, so I'm gonna have to set up an environment so you'll still see me on this as I show you the distro. But let me go ahead and do that, and then we'll do that, and hopefully this will boot up. I need to minimize you. I can put this over here. I have to build an environment for this. My apologies, guys. And let's also not forget to jump in over here and change my title around. Banners, desktop, where's my title? Just getting set up if you just jumped on. Where are you, title? I should have a title in my desktop. I'm not seeing my title. Oh, there it is. Found it. Replace. All right. So let's go ahead and figure out which. I don't need this. I don't need this. Let's go ahead and start with this page, and we will go ahead and start recording and re-roll the intro. Welcome back to SwitchedtoLinux. Well, today we just want to do a quick look at the Ubuntu 1904 daily build. Now, I just did another video here talking about, is this the end of Ubuntu's era? Because what we're finding, and you can check the details on that video, but we didn't get nearly as much of the buzz. We didn't get nearly as much of anything in there as we usually do. So what I'm talking about here is if we look at the release schedule for 1904, we have no alphas, we only have one beta, and it appears only 3 weeks before the final release of the system. And this means that we are going to get Ubuntu 1904 that is based on very little user testing and very little user feedback. And so I'm a little concerned, especially since it's taken me quite a while to get this thing working right in a VirtualBox as well. And once that happens, it starts to get a little bit on the shaky side. Now, of course, what do we expect? To be honest, nothing much. We are looking at GNOME 3.32 and Linux kernel 5 on release. I have the daily build that was downloaded on February 20th, the day before the feature release. And so we are still running GNOME 3.31, and we are at kernel 4.19. Now, GS Connect, for those that were looking for that, will not be installed in 1904. Apparently, it's not working right. And the other major change I just learned about recently is that this is going to seek to replace apt with snap. And so snap will be the default package manager to get this guy running. And that, to me, is a little on the weird side. So what we're going to do next is we will go ahead and boot this distro up. I just got to create a new screen for it. There we are. All right, so here we are. Now, the reason I am running without full screen is because full screen does not work, which is kind of sad because full screen has worked on Ubuntu for a long time. And so as we boot into the system, usually it's working okay. So here, of course, we don't have the new wallpaper yet either. That's okay, no big deal. If I were to go up and check out the settings information, then you'll see here that we are on GNOME 3.31.90. And you can see the other information there. And if I were to go into try and change my displays around, you'll see I don't have the option to go with the HD screen. And so I'm just kind of stuck with what we have. Now, one of the deepest concerns I have for Ubuntu just not really, it's not catching any flair. It's not really changing a lot. We have new package updates. It otherwise looks the same. The theming is, matches the new theming that we had from, that was released in the last version. And that's okay. I mean, it's not horribly bad. It's just, it doesn't have any real substance to it anymore. Now, the biggest concern that a lot of people will have is that the number of things that are being put into Snap. Now, mind you, I actually uninstalled something in here as well. The Snap packages, we have core based here. We have the GNOME calculator, characters log, system monitor, and GTK common themes. We also actually had an older version of GNOME on here. I don't know why, but this had an older version of GNOME. It's very possible it's just in here as a fallback because we are still testing and in development. So once again, if you didn't catch the very beginning of this video, this is one of the daily builds of the system. And of course, Snap is configured by default. You can see that there are a lot of snaps available here. And if you were to boot up the Software Center, then you'll actually find that a lot of your applications are snaps as well, even if there is another option to install it. Now, not everything is a snap. I looked at a few things. So Audacity, I didn't look at this one. So it looks, let's see, version 2.21. So yeah, this is actually coming from the repository. So this one is not a snap. Things like OBS is coming from a snap, I thought. Or maybe that other one was coming from a snap. I don't remember. It's kind of hard to tell. So if you are wanting to run something without a snap, it's kind of hard to tell where it's going to be coming from. And let's see, at least not without reading everything in fine detail. And that's kind of one of my concerns is that I personally, I'm not completely anti-snap. I am just not interested in running Snap on everything that I am doing. And that is certainly an issue that we have, is that we don't necessarily know what is being installed from a Snap and what is being installed in the repository, unless of course you kind of go into the repository and do it directly from apt. So if you do sudo apt install, I can grab whatever I want to install. But if I do sudo snap install, then I know I'm installing from the Snap store. And so that's kind of one of the features about it. Like I said, where they're making that shift and trying to replace apt with Snap. We do have Thunderbird installed by default. Again, if you do like the minimal build, Thunderbird, I've never seen it show up in the Ubuntu Software Center. Although it does exist, you can install it via apt. And of course, we still have our controversial Amazon thing. Of course, for those curious, the Amazon, let's see if I can still find that. You know, I used to know where to change that back in the older version. I'm not sure where to set it here. But you used to be able to set Amazon searches in the search menu. I was going to show you that, but I remembered on this version. I don't remember where that is any longer. So, okay, let's do... software sources. So here's where we're getting all of our software from. Again, this is the daily build. So it is getting updates daily based upon any new versions that are out there. So kind of the thing that we notice is that there's really not a lot of change, and maybe that's okay. On the one hand, I don't really care that the system changes a whole lot. Hey, actually, there's some VirtualBox guest editions. Let's go ahead and install those. Maybe it's just not installing them. System settings search. I could probably look for that. I think that's where it is. Let's go ahead and have a look. System settings search. Okay, so here we can search the terminal, Ubuntu software, password keys, files, and let's see, search locations. So no, that doesn't give me the place to search for Amazon stuff either. So have the ability to do that. All right, hey, thank you for that super chat, Appalling68. Always appreciate that. It is still downloading the drivers for this. All right, so that is closed. So if I were to reboot the system, I will probably get full screen. I'm not going to do that because this system will actually not work well in a VirtualBox. It will be a pain to get reset up. So I will hope that that will fix it, and then if it does, I will go ahead and play around with it. So here's our help. Of course, all of the software that we have, as we would expect, since we're still before a feature freeze, we are getting some of the latest software that's out there and available. Come on down to LibreOffice. We have 6.1.4.2. I think 6.2 is actually out. But that's what we have. Really nothing special about the system. And it's like, to me, they're kind of making it worse by having nothing special about the system, but then we're actually dropping functionality. We are dropping apt. We're focusing and prioritizing on the snap packages. And I'm trying to get the software, the resource manager to load, but it's, oh, is it going? It crashed. Let's try that again. I want to see the system monitor. I want to see how much RAM the system is taking, but it is apparently not going to load on me. It did load earlier. This is the first time I've seen it crash. It was running, when I ran it earlier, it was running 1.2 gigs. So it's not exactly lightweight, which we would expect. And I know there's some people out there that will say something like, it's modern computers and we have a lot more RAM. Well, not all systems. My writing computer only runs 2 gigs of RAM. And running only 2 gigs of RAM, I use Peppermint on that because it just works absolutely beautifully, exactly what I need. But this is Ubuntu, the daily build. There's really nothing changing in it. The only major changes I will expect to see is the change in the package manager to go from apt to snap. We should expect the Linux kernel. Oh, that's something. Let's go ahead and have a look at the Linux kernel real quick. Linux kernel is 4.19.0-13, and we will expect to see that to jump up to 5, and we will expect our GNOME version to go from 3.31 to 3.2 in the next release. So that's just really quickly the Ubuntu 1904 daily build. Not much to it. I'm scared for Ubuntu, which is very sad because I like Ubuntu and I want it to be successful. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. All right. Login using Wayland. Maybe. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and log out. Okay, apparently not. Unless there's something else somewhere. There's high contrast. No, I should see it here. I should see a gear right here indicating what I want to log in as under. So apparently, no, I cannot log in under Wayland. I'm guessing that that will be done by the time we are, by the time it's released. My guess is that will be available. PPAP, is that like PPAR? I've had enough about PPAR, man. Okay. Ghost BSD, need to be reviewed by Tom. Maybe. Anyone who thinks Linux is complicated will defecate themselves when they see BSD. Yeah. So opening files or shortcuts that are meant to launch things in the terminal will not work. Greetings, Spin Viking. How's it going there? For now, how long has Linux been trying to become more easily accessible? Why has no one created a GUI for terminal command options? Devs would pop out like babes. I mean, there's a lot of GUIs for terminal commands. In fact, that's what all GUIs in Linux really are. You know, there's usually a terminal way to run about everything. Is that Deepin I hear? I'm running Deepin, the Deepin desktop environment on Arch right now on my other computer. Linus likes app images. All right. Snap is the default over apt. That's what they're doing. Now I run Peppermint 9 and Cinnamon. Yeah, I'm still running Peppermint 7 because it works perfectly fine. At least the icons are now uniform in shape. Yes, the icon pack does look pretty good now. Disco Dingo, Travolta approves. That's right. Bring up these topics, even if I'm more of a Flatpak user. I still think that you do know what you're talking about. Maybe. Some people say I don't, but I don't know. Ubuntu replaces app with Snap. How will system updates be delivered? Automatically. You cannot remove core. Should I remove core from this thing? Oh, work. Oh, I cannot remove core Snap. It's not removable. See, this kind of gets at what I'm talking about. The philosophy of Linux, man, if I want to RMRF my machine... Really? Did I type that wrong? I probably typed that wrong. Apparently, I can't type today. Apparently, I can't type anything today. Wow. It's dangerous. No, all right. Bye-bye, Ubuntu. Bye, Ubuntu. It's not letting me kill some stuff. Why is it not letting me kill some stuff? Bummer. All right. Well, apparently it killed itself. I mean, usually a thing allows itself to keep running for a while, but apparently not anymore. Bye-bye, Ubuntu. Some snaps don't show up as snaps in the GNOME Software Center. Some software, you should now be able to hit the hamburger menu in the applications to select between snap or... Well, I would look into it, but I killed my Ubuntu. Which Linux Mint Manager would tell me if the app is open source or not. Yeah. I wish that you could remove Flatpak from Mint, but unfortunately you can't. When will they install Candy Crush on the main menu bar and let you know the game is over for Ubuntu? Yep. That's right. Anti-Snapite. That's right. Candy Crushed. Okay. Thank you once again for that super chat. Love the channel. I appreciate that. Man, we are getting bad sleet. Can you guys hear that? We're getting like bad sleet sticking against the walls. I went out, my car is covered in like half an inch of ice, I think. Like, I ain't going nowhere. So we're waiting for LibreOffice 2 on both PPA and 1904. Yeah. Could be for last night. Can't party like a 20-something anymore. Gnome and Cinnamon suck like heck. Surviving destruction process immediately crashed their session. Think the flavors like Ubuntu or Kubuntu will follow this road? I don't know. Some of them have, some of them have not followed. For example, like the data collection, Ubuntu does not follow the data collection. So I don't know if they're going to follow the snap versus apt or not. I have no idea. Switch to Linux shirts. You can get Switched to Linux shirts. Head on over to shop.switchedtolinux.com and you can find those. The URL is shop.switchedtolinux.com. If I can find my web browser, there you are. So we have our RMRF no preserve root, September 2018 code of conduct, hashtag LinuxGate. We also have Switch to Linux, you fool, even for your babies. Ooh. We have cats and tinfoil hats, bags, coffee cups, water bottles, coffee cups. Here's Sub to the Cat, the human is crazy. And just the basic Switch to Linux logo. And actually I have some nice mouse pads too. I have the Switch to Linux mouse pad, which I'm running right here. Those are at shop.switchedtolinux.com. Kitty merch, yep. Okay, who needs Ubuntu when you have Triskel and Parabola? Yeah. Sub to the cat indeed. I like the demonetized shirts some are putting out. Yeah, I should do that too. Dedicated video cards better than integrated ones. Yes. Mousepad not big enough. Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't set the size of the mouse pads. I could probably look and see if I can get the whole desk mats. That would be fun to do. That would be very fun indeed. All right. All right. Well, if you came on a little bit late, I am doing a book giveaway, my new book. Now, this is a Christian book, not necessarily my audience for this channel, but nice 200-page book about media entertainment and the Christian. I'm giving a couple of those away on Amazon. If you have an Amazon account in the United States, you can enter the giveaway. That's all it takes. I'm paying for the product, the shipping, and Amazon fulfills everything, so I don't get involved other than, here, take my money. So if you are interested in picking up, entering to win a copy of that book, go ahead and go on over there. And you can, I think I'm doing 2 for now, and then I'm going to do a couple more in after that giveaway's over. Then I'm going to do a few more giveaways. So that is some of the stuff I've going on over there. Don't forget, I do have, again, that shop. We just talked about that a little bit. And I have thinklifemedia.com as my personal support channel. And I'm also on Patreon, patreon.com/TomM. SwitchLinks. Do I have one of the bags? Yes, I do have one of the bags. I have the basic Switch to Linux one. Let's see. Bags and backpacks. I have... Which bag do I have? I have this one here. You can actually get them in a few different colors as well. Apparently I'm popular today. All right. And so let's see. Do I use Chromium from the repo? I was wondering how much telemetry there is in the default build. Okay. Yeah, Chromium has a problem in the most recent versions. I forget which version it started, but if you log into a Google account on a Chromium browser, not just the Chrome browser anymore, but on Chromium as well, it will automatically log your browser into Google as well. And that's a huge, huge problem. After a little bit of uproar, they turned on they added a setting to turn that off, but it is turned on by default. So if you are using Chromium browser and you do use any Google accounts for anything, definitely go in there and sign off, toggle that switch in the settings. It's buried deep in the settings so that the browser never logs you into the system. Spatcher and Adam's family from Australia. First timer. Shoot the video together. All right. Greetings. How's it going there? Do hope the sale of the book goes well. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I will be doing some more giveaways. If you are on Goodreads, I will be doing a 100 ebook giveaway soon. I'm waiting for a couple of categories to be shifted over into the right spot, and then I'll be pulling the trigger on some marketing stuff over there. And so that's kind of what's coming down the pipeline for that. Google the future of non-Windows OS on desktops. No, I don't think so. I don't know of any desktops that they run. Laptops, but as far as desktops, I don't know of any. Have you tried using Wacom tablet? You reviewed more. No, just because I don't own one. That was a friend of mine's. He wanted me to get it working on Linux, and so I used his. What did Ubuntu think up or dink up? Or yeah, I will release the shorter version as well if you want. I don't know. I might keep this one live. Since being that we almost hit 1,000 playbacks just while we were live for the last hour, I might keep it up for a little bit. From MS to Google, that would be a nightmare. Yeah. How do you move telemetry and Ubuntu? Sudo apt purge, Ubuntu report, popularity contest. Like, leave a message. The guy's not even leaving a message. He keeps calling and he's not leaving me a message. I'm actually busy. Sheesh. Try getting that kid involved in the Linux community at John. All right. Tom, you on Goodreads website? I love that website. Yes, Anna Rita, you can go friend me over there if you want. You should be able to find me. Just type in one of my books or my name. You'll find me. Okay, I came in late. Can you sum it up in a paragraph? Is Ubuntu ending? Well, they're doing a lot of really bad things, from not releasing an alpha, not getting the marketing buzz, not really doing anything of any significance. And then what they're doing is not doing anything of significance, and then moving everything from apt to snapd, things like that. Am I still using Lineage? Yes, I'm using Lineage OS. Don't want telemetry, just do not use Ubuntu. That's my plan. I mean, if it were like Windows and there were a command to get rid of it all, hey, you know, that would be certainly an interesting thing. But at the same token, the fact that there's so many other Linux distros, that's kind of problematic. I'm going to see who this guy is real quick. All right. Okay. Manjaro should become the one true distro. I don't know. Manjaro is good. I like Linux Mint personally. Manjaro is also good. I've had that running for a while as well. So that's my thoughts. That's my thoughts indeed. All right. I think that kind of wraps up the two subjects I want to talk about today. So I will release a shorter version, but I'll probably keep this the live stream up there as well. Thoughts on Pop OS? It's not bad. It's not my forte, but it's not bad. I like Pop. I just don't care for GNOME as much. Linux Mint do not add telemetry to the desktop. No, Linux Mint is fundamentally against all telemetry. My laptop screen goes black for 2 seconds, then back on. What could this be? Black for 2 seconds. Is it while you're doing something or not? That I don't know. I'd have to see the circumstance. It could be something dying inside. I doubt it, but it could be. I don't know. I'm not sure. When will Linux distros use Google Chrome instead of Chromium browser? I'm going to delete the comment because this is a family-friendly channel. But the fact of the matter is Chromium works just as well as Chrome. It's that Chrome is full of a bunch of crap. And I do not want to use a bunch of crap. And so that is why I use Chromium and not Chrome. Of course, I use Firefox and WaterFox more than those. And so with all that being said, that's kind of why. Now, there are some distros like Deepin uses Chrome by default. Does Makulu? No, Makulu uses Opera. There's a few distros that use Chrome. Just not a lot of them, because it's a proprietary Google product. And Chromium, frankly, works just as fine under most cases. And all right, obsessive compulsive people, you gotta love them. Like Linux Mint, Linux doesn't look for the same, well, doesn't look for feel the same. Well, no, I mean, Linux, if you think that Linux doesn't look or feel the same as something, you just haven't used enough Linux distros. The fact with Linux is you can make it look any way you want to make it look. What's wrong with snap packages? I spent a lot of time addressing that today in some other videos. I will have some linked to this one, but you can actually go back and look at the previous part of this video, or I have one that is called Oh Snap, the Problem with Ubuntu, talks about why. I've never heard of the Flurry desktop environment, but if it's anything like a McFlurry or something, I might like it. Ice cream. What are my thoughts on Opera? I would stay away from Opera. Opera, when it was purchased by a Chinese company, they put a lot of weird browser injections in it. And it does seem to do some fairly nefarious things. One example, if you have Opera running, go to Amazon and examine the URL. And what you'll find is that it will embed its own Amazon affiliate link inside your URL. So if you are using Opera and you think you're supporting another creator, you might actually be supporting the Opera devs instead. That type of stuff is completely nefarious and has no purpose. They should not be doing anything with your URL. So I will not recommend using Opera at all. Tried Spotify on Snap, buggered the screen, installed the Flatpak, works fine. Yeah, I've seen the Flatpak work fine. I haven't tried Snap before. Snowflakes accept you to answer the phone ASAP like you don't have a life. Yep. Hope this concept became something solid. On a scale of 1 to 110, how late are you? You are 106. That is how long I've been on Pizza. And I am about to wrap it up. I'm on a diet. Still eat cookies, but ice cream. I know some people love Deep in OS, but I never tried it. It's an okay as far as an operating system, but it has a scary EULA, and that's kind of crazy. All right. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I'm going to call the millennial snowflake that will not accept the fact that I actually might be busy right now, who has called me umpteen bajillion times. And I will go ahead and respond back to him. Sometime tonight, I will have the condensed version of the first part of this video up, and I'll probably do the second part tomorrow if I like it. I wasn't really happy with it, so I may not even bother with re-uploading the second part. So anyway, that is that, and we will catch you guys later. Thanks for coming on, guys. If you are new to the channel, feel free to subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon if you want to potentially get notifications. I do stream 6 o'clock on Wednesdays, 7 o'clock on Thursdays, and I do my news on Fridays at 9 o'clock. However, this week, 9 o'clock may not be news. I might end up doing the news much later, like 10 or 11. I have a weird schedule on Friday, so I'm not sure if or when I will get to the news. It will be eventually. I will try to have a notice up on the channel somewhere about that. That is kind of what we're doing from here. So thanks for coming along, guys, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Oh, wait, hold on. We got to feed the kitty. Almost forgot. Best part of this show. Come on, kitty. Come on. Come on, kitty. Come on up. Come on up. Come on. Come on up. Come on up. Come on. You gotta jump. You gotta jump. Burn those calories. Burn the calories you're about to consume. Come on. Come on. Come on. You can do it. Come on up. There he goes. Yeah. Good kitty, huh? Oh, there you go. Almost forgot to feed the kitty. Most famous part of the show. This is the famous CJ if you're new to this channel. Oh, smell it? Oh, boy. Oh, boy, buddy. Go get it. Stick your face in there. Stick your paw in there. Stick something in that bag. Go on. Stick your paw in there. Here you go. Oh, there's one for you. Get it, get it, get it. Did you get it? Yeah, you got it. Here's another one for you. And we got one more. Let's use this camera right over here. Oh, are they finger licking good? Yeah, they finger licking good, are they? All right, buddy. All right. Alrighty, guys. We will catch you guys later. Have yourselves a wonderful evening, and see you at the next one.